Where'd you get your fake
we've
ID?
Heard that before.
I had it from a friend. My mom's what?
I'm like,
I got it from a friend.
Let me think about that for a second.
Hey, you never know. My
you were
mom's
giving
friend.
Lucas Hurl a run for the money. Lucas is the worst liar. I'm sorry. That made me laugh. You were like, oh.
You never know. Both the stories could sound like bullshit.
That's true. No, don't get defensive.
I'm not a good storyteller.
No.
It's not my thing.
Apologies. Okay.
It was adorable.
Okay, I know. It was so cute. I'm Felicia Michaels.
And I'm Jessica Wellington.
And what we do here at the Liars Club is we have two of our comedy pals come on. We ask them to tell two stories. One is the truth and one is a lie. And then Jessica here and I will try to ask a lot of questions, try to beat a little hole into one of the stories to figure out which one is the lie. Right, Jessica?
That's right.
And I'm going to go ahead and introduce our first guest. This is a lady that has her own podcast. It's called I Am a Rescue Podcast. I have many questions. Please give it up, everybody, for Miss Stephanie Clark. Everybody, Mrs. Stephanie Clark. Yay! Right?
Thank you for having me.
There we go. And our second guest, we're so excited. Obviously, we're excited that you're here, but doubly so that this gentleman decided to get off his high horse and come do the podcast with us.
Oh, please.
You've seen him on America's Got Talent and Comedy Central. Please give it up for Mr. Alex Hooper, everybody.
Hi.
Yay. Okay,
It was a very low step down from the high horse, by the way.
Okay. And of course, we always have our trusty in-house on-air producer / intern, although he doesn't like that term.
Oh, I'm fine with it.
Mr. Austin Walker.
Not derogatory at all. Hey, how was New York, girls?
Yeah.
Oh, thanks for the invite. Don't care.
Yeah.
I held a cab.
She held a cab. It was hilarious. I had to set up the cab, and then she walked down and was like, And
I wish I could have seen it, but I wasn't invited. So
I could have done it all by myself, but she wanted to help more.
Whatever you need to believe. So we're just going to jump right to it. Who would like to go first?
I'll take it. I guess.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right.
sure. We're all just like going to stare at each other like, I don't know. Now, do I just obviously start with one, and do I do both right off the bat? Or do you
No,
go
we're
one,
going to
one?
rotate it around.
Okay, fun.
You'll tell a story, Stephanie will tell a story, you'll tell a story, Stephanie tell a story.
Fun.
Okay,
Okay,
there you go.
cool. My first story happened when I was 16 years old. I was working in my second day ever as a dishwasher at a high-end Asian restaurant, and in the middle of the shift, one of the cooks offered me a plate of spring rolls. And I was like, oh, sure. Are there any peanuts in them? And she said, no. And I was like, are you sure? Because I'm allergic. She goes, no, there's no peanuts. I promise. I checked them, and I made them.
Peanut sauce.
Well, we'll get to that. And sure enough, I eat these spring rolls, and about half an hour later, I start getting really itchy and and I can feel my throat kind of closing up, and I'm just like, okay, let me go back and ask her. And exactly what you said, Jessica. I go to the chef and I'm like, hey, there were no peanuts in those spring rolls, right? She goes, no. But they were coated in a peanut sauce. Is that a problem? And I was like, are you kidding me? Yes, that's a problem.
That's an idiot.
What fly-by-night culinary school did you go to where you don't understand when someone says, like, are there peanuts in this?
I'm sorry, the chef said that?
The chef.
Oh.
The chef gave me these.
But it was the waitress that said, no, there's no...
No. The chef gave it because I was in the kitchen with them.
Oh, I see.
So you said, hey, these were made extra by accident. Do you want them? And I was like, sure. Are there peanuts? I'm allergic. No, there's no peanuts. Okay, great.
And this was a highfalutin Asian restaurant?
This was a high upscale fusion restaurant, supposed to be, very like upper class, really just like well-to-do people eat there.
Where at?
In Baltimore.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's where I grew up. And so I just immediately I called my mom because I was like, I don't know what to do in this situation. I haven't had an allergy attack in many, many years. And so I called her. She's like, I'm going to call the hospital. I'm going to have an ambulance come pick you up. Like, I don't know how far along you are, and I don't know what extent of how much you actually ate. So the only thing we can do is take you to the hospital.
Wow.
So this is when it gets a little bit more fun, is when the paramedics came, these two guys, at this point, point, I'm just like sweating profusely. I can barely talk. My throat is like closing up. And these two paramedics hated each other. Like
Really?
I'd never heard of anything like this in my life. Like they were just constantly fighting. No matter what one said, the other was like, no, that's not the way you do it. You do it this way. And the other one would be like, God, I hate this guy. Why do I have to work with this guy? And I'm just like, I
might be dying over here.
Everybody,
Right.
problem is me right now. Can we please focus on this? And they had to get a IV in me when I was in the ambulance. And one of them just goes like, let me do it. You're not good at it. He's like, yes, I am. I can do it. Watch this. And then he just shoves the needle in my arm and the blood just starts squirting out of my arm because of the way he did it. And I'll never forget this. This dude goes, you stuck pig, boy.
Like a what?
A stuck pig.
Stuck
like
pig.
a stuck pig, which I assume is like what happens like if you just poke a pig with a knife of some kind, that it would just bleed a lot. I don't really know the phrase.
Or
but
you imagine a pig like just stuck somewhere.
I guess so. Yeah, just like with its face in a trough
I'm
somewhere.
sorry, I've been traveling with Jessica for the last 5 days, and it just never stops.
These nonsensical
These
interludes.
country folk idioms. That,
Wow. So then what happened?
Bleeding like a stuck pig. So I'm okay. They shoot me up with a ton of Benadryl, but when I remember getting wheeled into the hospital, and I remember like people. I'm on like an oxygen mask. Blood is all over my shirt and my arm. So I remember getting wheeled in, and people looking at me like thinking I had been shot, like I was a gunshot
really?
because that's what it looked like. I was on a stretcher, barely able to breathe, and I had blood all over me.
So you mean to tell me that these paramedics didn't give you an EpiPen?
Oh, no. So they shot me up with a bunch of Benadryl and stuff like that. They gave me stuff like that, for sure. I don't know if they gave me an EpiPen specifically, because I never carry an EpiPen, and it's something that my parents always got on me. They're just like, we got you an EpiPen. Why don't you want to carry it? I'm like, it doesn't fit well in my pocket. Like,
Do you still not carry an EpiPen?
I don't.
Really?
I don't. I just...
Why?
Because I'm just very at this point I'm old enough to be careful enough with what I eat that if I question it for a second, if I'm like this could have peanuts, I'm like, no, I'm just not gonna eat
But
it.
how do you trust people, especially after having this experience in a restaurant?
You don't. I mean, you trust. I use my best judgment. I know what foods typically have peanuts in them, and if somebody goes, "Hey, there's a brownie, it has nuts in," I'm like, "What kind of nuts?" They're like, "Oh, I don't know." Then I just don't eat it.
Right.
And I'm very like when I went to Thailand last year, I had to carry around a little card with me with basically like a no smoking symbol over a peanut, just to like show to people. Like I would show it to street vendors, and I quickly learned that a lot of like street food vendors were illiterate because I would show them this card, and then they would just shove a bucket of peanuts in my face. They're like, "You want peanut?" And I'm just like, "No."
Right.
So I just had to be extremely careful with what I ate over
and
there.
when you went to Thailand, did you carry an EpiPen then?
I did not.
Wow,
Nope. I
that's crazy.
still didn't. No.
And you've been allergic since you were a kid, like
As far as I know, yeah. I mean, I think I remember my first peanut reaction when I was maybe 9 years old. I used to threaten my parents with it, like because I was a very angry like kid, and I just remember I used to be like, my parents would yell at me. I'd be like, "Oh yeah, I'll shove all these peanuts into my mouth right now. Is that what you want, Mom?"
are you serious?
Are you serious?
Yeah, so one time to get back at them, I specifically remember just eating a peanut M&M and just right in their face and going, "What are you gonna do now?" And they were like, "That's not enough to do anything to you. You just go to your
Oh, so
room."
you can
and
have one peanut and it would be okay?
I'm not the reason they can't have them on planes anymore. You know,
Okay.
that's not me.
Okay.
I'm not the guy who can't be around the essence of a peanut. I just can't ingest a massive amount of them.
Right.
And whatever that peanut sauce was enough where it's like, okay, this was at the point where I would have been fine. I probably just would have gotten very flaky and red and eventually maybe passed out a little bit or something.
So is that the worst that's ever happened to you? That
was the-
particular attack? Of
That was the
allergy?
worst for sure. Like I had a couple other moments where it's like, oh, I think I just ate a few peanuts. This isn't good. Let me just take some Benadryl and go to sleep and I'll be fine.
Right.
this
But,
means
yeah.
that you would never be able to enjoy my favorite sandwich. It's a fried peanut butter and jelly
The Elvis one?
with bacon.
Oh, with
Yes.
bacon. Oh. Nope, you're right. I will never be able to enjoy that, and I guess I'm worse off for it.
What's on this sandwich again? What?
It's a fried peanut butter and jelly with bacon.
And they put the peanut butter jelly and bacon on the sandwich, and then do they dip it into a deep fryer?
is
Oh
it-
no, I make it at home. I've never had it anywhere. I just
Is it
make
like
it
a grilled cheese
Yeah,
sandwich?
you do it like a grilled cheese.
Jesus Christ, are you serious? Are you really serious? Who
Yes.
used to make that for you? Your nana?
My dad.
Your dad? Oh, really?
By the way, there's nothing like being in New York City and hearing Jessica go, I gotta go boom boom.
Gotta go boom boom. That could mean so many different things.
Well, what do you think it really means?
yeah,
Alex?
I think I figured it out.
Like someone was raised by their grandma. I gotta
She
go
seems
boom
like
boom.
a politer way to say it, right? She's always on to me about burping, so
And then we go and we did John Fugelsang's show, and John Fugelsang is very political, so it's a Sirius XM show, right? And Jessica, I'm like, John, I'm so sorry, Jessica's super country. You know what I mean? It was so
A little bit rock and roll though too.
Yeah.
thank
yeah.
you.
Right?
See?
And then tell them about your chapstick.
Okay, so I need some chapstick. I went to this. I got this chapstick, and I bring it up, and look, I asked this everywhere, absolutely everywhere. Okay, I asked them, "Do you give military discount?"
Because Jessica was in the Air Force.
Because I was in the Air Force, right?
Yep.
And then she looked at me and said no, and I told her and I just like blurted out, "Oh, I'm an idiot. Why would a Japanese give me a military discount?"
So we're in a cab and she's telling me this, and I'm like, that is so hilarious. And then the cab pulls over, we get to pay, and the guy turns
So I
around.
I said, "Is there a military discount for the cab?" Right? Because you never know, right? And he,
Yeah.
In New York City.
and he
In
turned
New York
around and shook
City.
his head, and I saw him, and I was like, "Oh, are you Japanese?"
So you heard the whole story. It's like,
What do you?
Jesus.
Why are you not in the concentration camp right now? What? Are we past that?
And then we're on the subway.
No, do it. Blow up her spot, Felicia.
We're on the
Did
subway.
you go boom boom?
No, she did not go boom. She did not go boom boom on the subway. We're on the subway. And then this homeless man comes on, and he's talking to himself. Dude, the homeless guy, when he
Well,
comes
he comes
in.
on the train, and he was like, "Fuck you, motherfucker! I'm sick of your shit." And then all of a sudden, he looks around. And says, "How you doing, ladies and gentlemen? How you doing today?" Yeah, it was
I love those people so much.
And Jessica laughed so loud, and I was like, don't laugh at the girl.
She got really mad at me.
Mad,
Yeah.
because you don't know
Because
people.
then they
that-
engage. That's
And
the other thing.
then-
Then they
yeah.
engage.
But we were way
you.
on the other end, and he was going the other way, you know.
Yeah,
but she
he
looked at
just
me.
got on the train and said, fuck you, motherfucker, fucking, and you're like, I was like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, she gave me one of these. I mean it.
Oh, whoa!
I know. It was
You
like,
played that mother card
I
right
had
there.
to play the fucking mother card. God damn it. Anyway, so that's your story, right?
That's the.
I had to get that out of the way.
That is story number one.
And that's the worst time that's ever happened to your allergic reaction.
Yeah, for the most. I mean, I had one event in college where like I ate. It's always Chinese food. It was always Chinese food that did it to me because I'd order some specialty dumpling or something like that, and it wouldn't say peanut on the menu. I eat it, I'm like, that tastes kind of funny. I recognize that, and then I'm like, oh no.
Can you eat things fried in peanut oil?
Yes, that is because peanut oil is so refined that pretty much all traces of the peanut of whatever causes my allergies just doesn't affect it. So
Are
like,
you allergic to anything else?
nothing serious. I mean, like cat hair will bother me eventually if I'm just if
Right.
I'm rolling around in a playpen of cats for a long time. But that's it.
Well, that's that is a
It's a
strong
good story.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
it was a
strong
nice
first story.
I like how you put in like these EMTs were, arguing. They add a little.
It's an important
extra layer.
detail.
Yeah. Yeah. Were you frightened when they were arguing? Like, what the F?
I just couldn't believe it. Like, I remember even just thinking, like, well, why, if you hate each other, why couldn't you, like, ask to work with someone else? Or, like, how about you just cool it right now? Because clearly, I think they were probably just looking at me going, like, this kid's going to be fine. Who cares?
Right.
Like, this is
Right.
nothing. It's a peanut allergy.
And you didn't
like,
say
I'm in-
anything?
I'm in downtown Baltimore.
Okay.
An ambulance coming for a peanut allergy. They're kind of just like, kid, get back to the suburbs, all right?
Uh-huh.
I don't know why they would talk like that, but
So, was he able to get an IV in you, or
yeah,
eventually, or?
they did. It's like and then just a couple hours in the hospital and just just getting super shot up with so much Benadryl, just that you
Right.
just pass out and then you wake up and you're fine and my parent, and then I left that job the next day. I literally lasted 3 days at that job because I was like, I hated dishwashing is what I found out, but I used that to kind of be like, I'm sorry, it's just too traumatic for me to work here now. The memories, I can't, I'm out.
You poisoned me.
Wow, that would be such a powerful tool to have to get back at your parents. Is to put yourself in is it anaphylactic shock? I don't know.
Yeah, that's exactly what happens. I've never gotten to that point with a peanut though. I would have to eat a lot.
Have you ever done that in a relationship?
Where were you last night? I swear to God.
I just like chop a bunch of peanuts and rail it like cocaine. I'm just like, I'll do another line right now.
Oh yeah! Wow. I was actually in the hospital once, and they were taking blood, and it was a glass cylinder. And when the chick did it, like she kind of jumped it in there, and then the cylinder broke. That they take the and it broke, and then
I've never seen that.
and then she ran away.
Oh no!
You've
Like,
probably never
what?
seen it
To
either.
like get help.
No,
I gotta put this on YouTube.
no, she never came back. She never came back. It was weird. It was a weird experience.
She's still running.
Yeah. She's like the nightmare. All right. Well, that's it first. I like when stories aren't like, I did 3 chicks in a hotel. You know what I mean? Like I like when they're really different.
We'll wait till my next one.
All right.
And I like all of them.
Yeah.
Don't say that.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying when it's something we haven't heard before.
Well, I choose.
she might
it's
have a
something-
whole, gangbang story right now.
Yeah, you never know.
We can only hope. Okay, Stephanie, your turn.
It's actually a peanut story.
Yeah.
So I'm from LA. So in my early 20s, I was a little wild. I'm not the same lady as you see today. I was a little crazy. It's not a gangbang story. Don't get your hopes up.
All right.
I just want
And-
you guys to know that I was a little crazy.
I was a little nuts. So in my early 20s, I made out with Steve-O.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Steve-O.
So this is it's one of my credits when they bring me up for shows in comedy. No.
I was gonna be like, wait, I've never heard that, but now it will be when you're on my show.
That's right. So this is early, 2004, 2005. So
So when he was Steve.
so when he was having fun,
right.
like on top of like the Jackass movie just came out.
Peak Jackass.
Peak Jackass, and I saw him at a bar in the Rainbow Room with my friend, and I was like, oh my god, that's Steve-O. So I went over, and it could have been any of the Jackasses because I liked all those.
Really, but I get it. But Steve-O's pretty hot, and I think anybody that can tattoo their face on him, that's pretty.
I feel like
Yeah,
Steve-O's
that'll do
the
it for
least
you.
hot one. I don't know.
Really?
I feel like
think
he's.
Steve-O's the hottest.
I don't know. Between Pontius and Knoxville, and I don't know.
Steve-O was the hottest.
19-year-old Steph was going to go for all of them.
Oh, so you were
know?
19.
19 or 20. So-
Yeah.
And
yeah.
and then, so I went up to him like, oh my god, I'm a big fan, and he's like, oh yeah, he grabbed some shots, kamikaze shots, and we did some shots, and then he took some sweet.
How old
sweet,
were you again?
Like 19 or 20, and he took a Sweet and Low pack and put it on the bar top, and he's like, you want to do a line with me, and he did it. I'm like, I'm good. No, I don't want to do that.
Where were you?
Rainbow Room.
You were allowed to drink in there?
Yeah.
I had a fake ID.
Oh, really? Where'd you get your fake
we've
ID?
heard that before.
I had it from a friend. My mom's. What?
I'm like,
I got it from a friend.
think about that for a second.
Hey, you never know. My
you were
mom's
giving
friend.
Lucas Hurl a run for the money. Lucas is the worst liar. I'm sorry. That made me laugh. You were like, oh.
You never know. Both the stories could sound like
that's
bullshit.
True. That's true. True. No, don't get defensive.
I'm not a good storyteller.
No.
It's not my thing.
apologies. Okay.
It was
So,
adorable.
Okay, I know it was so cute for a
Well, I
chick
was
that
trying to-
wanted to mac on Steve-O.
I was trying to think of
your
the-
lies would be better.
I was trying to think of her name, but I don't remember it.
Right. Okay.
So my mom's friend's daughter. That's who I got it
Oh
from.
yeah, and did she look like you?
Like close enough. She had curly hair. Well, she curly hair, blue eyes, but
And you're
I
not
would
curly
just,
hair and
if
your
they-
brown eyes.
If they start asking questions, I just kind of would be like, "Oh, how's your day? How's the weather?" And then they get distracted, you know.
like, what are you doing? Like, how's your day?
Yeah, exactly.
Don't look at that.
Look at these. So that's how I got into the Rainbow Room.
And so tell me about. Did you make out with him in the Rainbow Room?
not quite yet. And then he's like, hey, I live close by. And I was like, well, I'm with my friend. And he's like, she can come along too. I was like, all right. So we followed him back to his apartment.
But was it understood that something might shake out?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm just gonna give you all paper cuts. Is that cool?
Okay.
So we followed him back to his place, and then it was like old dude was sleeping on his couch, and he was just kind of like doze in and out. And he's like, "Hey, Steve-O, we're gonna go to Vegas to party." And I was like, "Who the hell is this guy?" He looked like a rock and roll, I don't know, someone from a band or something. And it was getting weird. My friend was in the other room and just started making out like right in front of the old guy. And then I was like, all right, well, I don't want to go further than this, you know? So I went to the restroom. I saw it had a bunch of pills and in the medicine cabinet. And I was like, this is like getting weird.
Like what kind of pills?
Just like Vicodin. And
Oh, he had all the painkillers back in the day.
Oh,
He had a
really?
big problem.
I thought you were going to say Viagra with a V. I was like,
Might have been.
Vicodin.
Probably needed it for all the painkillers he was on.
Yeah,
You can't be
seriously,
sucking
yeah.
down 20 Oxycontins and then trying to fuck.
That's true.
At least
how-
I
and
don't
how do
think
you-
so. I don't know. I don't think so.
Can I go back to peanuts? I don't know.
Alex was there too.
Yeah, I was the friend.
He was the old man on the couch.
So then I was just like, oh, we're gonna get going. It's getting late, and then we took off, and that was it.
That was it?
Mm-hmm.
So tell me what it was like to kiss Steve-O, and I want details.
I mean, I was pretty drunk, so
Right, but you remember, come on.
it was sloppy.
Okay.
He was very handsy,
Yeah.
and it kind of was like just kind of feeling a little awkward about it.
Did he have good rhythm when he was kissing you, or was it like, "Bleh," you know what
Yeah.
I'm talking about?
Bleh.
Right? It was like that?
Yeah, it was.
So you would say that live on Facebook that Steve-O, when he kisses, is like, "Bleh."
Bleh.
That's
Mhm.
really?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I can see that would be that's what I would like about it, because that's kind of his persona.
Yeah, I don't know if suddenly he was just very like
Polite.
Yeah, just like very sensual about it. You'd be like, I'm sorry, this is not. I'm sorry, I came here to have a rod jammed in me. Thank you.
I don't need this. Yeah,
I need live chickens involved somehow.
Rico Suave shit. Yeah.
So you're in the living room with the old man sleeping on the couch.
Right.
You're making out with Steve-O, and your friend is in the other room doing what? Casing the joint? Like, what is she doing?
She's kind of just on her phone and just like,
In
and I felt bad because she was just like the odd man out. She wasn't gonna hook up with
May
the
I
old
ask
guy.
how old you are
Yeah.
now?
I'm 33.
So she was on her phone when you were 19. What kind of
Yeah.
phone was this?
Like those flip phones.
And who'd you get that?
Playing
Where did she
Snake.
get that flip phone
I
from?
do have a question from
A
Facebook.
friend,
Yes,
We do
Austin?
have a
same
question.
friend. I
Okay.
got my ID from.
So-
Shar wants to know.
Okay.
You're drunk and you're high and y'all just kissed. That's it.
I wasn't high. I was drunk.
Yeah.
Oh, he was high
He probably yes.
and just kissed.
Yeah, we
Like
just
you-
made out.
Did he get in? Did he? Were all the
He was
buttons on your
he was
pants?
feeling me up a little bit.
Feeling
but
you
yeah.
up? Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And how drunk were you? Like, were you able to drive afterwards?
My friend drove.
Your friend
Yeah.
drove?
Yeah.
Heard a lot about this friend.
You're making me laugh. Because you're like,
she can't explain, but my friend.
and what was your friend's name?
Melanie.
Yeah, Melanie. What?
I'd rather. Nah, I don't want to say.
Okay, fair enough.
We're not
Fair
friends
enough.
anymore.
Oh, you're not. Fair enough. Fair enough. We don't want all names except for Steve-O's.
Steve, I'll throw under the bus for sure.
But a person
would
I'm not
throw
friends
himself
with
under the
anymore.
bus.
Yeah, he would.
Protect forever.
You know, that's a good one. A
Wow.
lot of times people were weary about if they bring up names, like, oh, would they really tell this story about him?
Uh-huh.
But if it's Steve-O, I kind of like, yeah, fuck yeah, I would.
Yeah?
Right? It's Steve-O.
Yeah.
He's done a bunch
It's
of
like
crazy
Andy
shit.
Dick in this town, you know?
Right.
If you have a story about it, it's like, yeah, we all got one.
And if you ask him, he'd probably be like, "Yeah, sure." I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't remember.
Now, did you give him your number?
I got his number, and then we would prank call him.
You ended up
After
prank.
we would prank call him. And
Really?
just fuck around with him. Mhm.
And when you would prank call him, what would you do?
Just like I would put on a dude's voice and be like,
Can you do it? for us?
"Hey, Steve, what are you doing?"
Sounded just
Pretty
like a dude.
basic. Yeah.
Her act outs need a little work. I'll give you that.
They always yes, they do.
Me too. Mine need work too. Okay. Well, Wow, that's it. Wow. Okay, Steve-O.
What
Wow,
did his place look like?
Yeah, was it dirty?
It was, yeah, there was, I mean, there was a lot of bills laying around. It's pretty messy. Probably unpaid bills.
All hospital bills.
A lot of Cheetos bags and,
Yeah.
kind of messy.
Uh-huh.
But it was in a nice area.
So as now an adult woman, when you look back on your 19, 20-year-old self, when you were whoring it up in the hill somewhere with Steve-O.
Such a slut.
How old do you think that man really was? I mean, being 19 or 20, when you look at someone who's 37, you're like, nah, old dude. But now that you're 33 and a grown-ass woman,
Right.
do you still think that guy was super old? Or how old would you
How
say?
you mean,
The
like,
guy
what
on
do
the
I think
couch.
of? The
Yeah,
guy on the couch, probably early 50s.
Oh, he really was an old
Like,
guy.
he was an older guy.
Yeah. And did Steve-O explain who that was?
Like, yeah, we didn't even ask him.
Really?
Yeah. I was just like, oh, that's looks
So
like
was it-
like
so
a
you-
band member or
you
something.
really made out with that guy, with Steve-O, with just another guy laying on the couch sleeping?
Yes.
And a
Yeah.
friend on a phone
Yeah.
playing Snake.
No, that part I don't have a problem with.
What?
No,
Really?
no, because when you're that age, I mean, all right, I'm
Come
gonna
on, an
conf-
old
can I
man in the room.
Can I
Please.
confess something really quick?
Okay, yeah, of
I
course.
saw Steve-O at the Download Festival in England. There was a bunch of bands playing, and I had sex with a random dude out in public.
What?
How in public?
What, in England?
Yeah, like behind these booths.
What kind of booze?
I don't even remember. Maybe they,
Fish and chips
Yeah, they might have been.
to blend in? Like, what kind of fucking booze?
So you just met this guy at this festival.
Yeah, I was like, I just wanted to do it.
And Steve-O just got you that riled up during the thing.
Steve-O got you so hot, you're like, anybody with bad teeth, I'm in. Really?
English dude.
My name's Jessica Wellington. Welcome to my ass.
Wow,
I was in the Air Force.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think that's different when you're young and you're drinking and you're having fun, but to be one old man in the room.
That would not have bothered me at that age
Really?
at all. No.
I would be like,
You know how many-
like a lizard. I'd be like, blah, 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 and then that one eye, like, look at that old man. What's he doing now?
I think just because it was Steve-O that I was okay with it. You know?
Yeah.
I made an exception.
He would
Yeah.
never hurt me.
Unless a shopping cart was involved. Well, those are two very good stories. That's awesome. Do you have any questions, Austin?
No, Leah on Facebook backed up Jessica that Steve-O is hot, which blew
Thank
my
you.
mind.
Really?
He's the
Really?
hottest one. Yeah.
But Leah's from Central Florida, so
Oh, yeah.
Bartow
Yeah.
Slim Pickens down
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
Down that
All
way,
right,
so.
all right. Well, those are two really, really good, strong stories. Let's move on to Alex's second story.
All right, second story takes place when I was 14 years old. My grandmother, Florence, and I, we used to have a weekly ritual where we would
You
go.
call your grandma Florence?
Her name was Florence. I called her G-Flo, actually,
Okay.
is what I typically called her.
My grandma
But-
Florence. Okay.
Well, you know,
Yeah.
there are two grandmothers in
Yeah.
in most stories, and so I'm just saying
They all
it.
had those old school names. My grandma's name was Aura.
Aura.
Yeah,
Ooh.
that's an old school name.
Yeah,
I
I had,
like that.
I had
Yeah.
Florence and Vivian.
Mine was
Yeah.
Alverna.
Elverna.
Elverna.
Jesus, that
She
is.
hated it.
Yeah. Did
That's
they
not
have,
even
did she have a
a name.
nickname?
I love it too.
Elverna. That's like a vampiress or something.
Yeah. I love
well,
that.
You know,
Yeah.
She was from Alabama, so you never know.
My grandma's
Okay.
name was Bernice.
That
Elverna
doesn't
just sound-
surprise anybody here.
Nope. I like those typical grandmother names.
I
Like,
do
there's no
too.
Florence. There's no Florences anymore. Florence on the
No.
Machine, but
Well, that's true.
but other than that, like you never meet anyone named who's like, my name's Florence. It's a beautiful name,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
It is.
We used to every Sunday night. We would go out to dinner. She would just take me to like a local like Friendlies, which is like an East Coast Denny's, if you know what that is,
Yeah.
essentially. And we'd always go. And in this particular night, I remember this specifically because it was you know how like when you find out your grandparents like don't know that they're racist, like you know when you have that moment, and I had never had that. You're like Jessica's like, no, my grandparents fully are aware of their racism. Florence was such a sweet woman. She was so sweet, and I just remember at this particular dinner, being 14, I'm sitting across from her, and she just goes, you know what, Alex? I'm comfortable anywhere, and I really pride myself in that. I'm comfortable here at this Friendlies. I'd be comfortable if we were eating fried chicken in a cave with a black family. And I went, I'm sorry, repeat, please. Like, I just, to her, she didn't say anything racist whatsoever.
Don't look at me, Felicia.
I was like, first, a cave?
cave.
That's problem number one.
Yeah, when she said it, did other people hear her?
No, it was just us at the table.
Okay,
It was just the
okay.
two of us.
Well,
Nobody.
see, I don't think cave is racial whatsoever. She's just thinking you're.
Right. That's her pick for anywhere, and it's fried chicken with a black family.
I don't know.
in
A shelter from the
cave.
Stone Ages. I don't know.
And my grandma
maybe,
made
though,
the
Jessica.
best fried chicken. So
Could be. Yeah.
All right, no one's buying that. Continue.
Buying which part of it? Did her
Yeah.
grandmother
The
make the
peanut
best fried
butter.
chicken?
She'd take the peanut butter and the bacon and the jelly and
oh
put it in
no,
there.
but
That
she
was-
yeah.
did cook fried chicken in lard, of course.
Oh, okay.
okay.
So we're about to drive back. We're in her car, a 1990 Buick Century, which would later be passed down to me. It was like the first car I ever had. It was such a boat. Like, it was one of those cars where if you press the gas one time, you'll coast for the next 60 miles. And she got in the car and she started kind of breathing really heavily. And I was like, hey, Grandma, are you okay? Are you okay? And she goes, I just like my heart's fluttering a little bit. And I was like, what do you mean? And she's like, and she started breathing harder and harder. And I started to get really concerned because I was 14. It was 1999. I don't have a phone yet. Like, my dad had a cell phone, but like, I don't have a cell phone yet. She doesn't have a cell phone. And I realized like something is really going on here, and I didn't know what to do except said, hey, let me drive. And I was at 14, all I'd ever done is like gone down the driveway a few times, but I was like, I don't really have a better option right now to get this woman to, like, all I can do is get her back home because we were only 3 miles from my house.
Is this
Friendly's
in
was really
Baltimore?
close. This is in Baltimore.
Okay.
And I was like 3 miles from my house. I was like, I know I can get us home. I can be there in 10 minutes if I just drive. But then as soon as and she didn't fight me on this. I think she kind of just figured like she doesn't have a better solution right now either. And I remember the one thing I specifically really remember about this is I sat down in the car and all I'd ever done is reverse to go down my driveway. That's the only kind of driving I'd ever learned how to do.
You
Like,
ever sat in your dad's lap or anything and just used the steering wheel?
No, like my dad would let me back down the driveway every once in a while just to like kind of learn how to do that. But I remember this moment so vividly because there's on the car D1, D2, and D3 when you're shifting into drive. And I just remember looking at that going like, which is it? Like, what do I do here? Which one is like this? Which one am I supposed to put it in?
I'm in a hurry, so D3.
Yeah, I still honestly don't really know the difference between them. I've never used anything except reverse and drive. Those are the
What
only
kind
two.
of car was it?
A 1990 Buick Century. A boat.
So-
Big old white thing.
So did you manage to leave?
Yeah, managed to leave, managed to actually drive all the way home, to which I ran in the house. My grandmother started breathing pretty normally. She was actually okay. Like, it was just like minor heart palpitations and nothing ended up coming from it. But I ran in, told my dad what happened. He ran out to make sure my grandmother was okay. She was okay. And then he got angry at me for driving home because he's like, that was not the answer. The answer, Alex, was to go back in the restaurant, use their phone, and call for help. The answer was not for you to drive home. And so then I got grounded. And then I got grounded for 3 days. And I was like, what for what? He's like, because you can't drive a car.
They drilled it into you in school. Call 911.
Right, dude.
I'm sure your parents did.
I tried to play the hero card in this situation of just like, I know what to do. I can be home in 10 minutes, and this will all get figured out. And this was not. It was not the right move. Apparently, I thought it was the right move. I was pretty happy about it.
You're a good little liar.
Yeah, you are.
I know.
We're
good
even getting
storyteller.
getting comments on Facebook about what a good storyteller you are and how hard it's going to be to bust your ass at the end.
Wow.
Who's
okay.
saying that? Who's saying that on
Leah
Facebook?
says that he's a good storyteller, and then Shar says there's holes in the story, but it's a believable story.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
Where are the holes?
Well,
I can fill in the holes.
I'll ask her, Mama Shar, where are the holes, and she'll get that in about 5 or 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let me hear these
well,
holes.
Well, here's the thing. On your first story, you said, that the guys were arguing together, and so like you're making up some details on both stories. So
It's true. D1,
Yeah,
T2,
DT,
D3.
Yeah,
Never forget that part of
That's
it.
a good
D2, the
detail.
Mighty Ducks are back, everybody.
I could see D1, D2, but D3, like that's
That's
Was
kinda
there?
weird. I
Yeah.
don't know. I
Leah
don't
said she
know.
feels like this is the true story, that she didn't
Oh,
hear all of the
really?
EMT story, but that this one feels
Really?
right to her.
Oh, really?
But I think that's the grandma effect. You know,
Yeah.
there's that
Yeah.
emotional attachment, so you want.
I'm a little bit.
She
I
Flo was a
can't
very sweet
believe
woman.
that you had only backed down the driveway.
At 14?
Yeah, because
Yeah.
14, 15, I was driving my dad around when he was drunk, and he would let me go around my grandma's house.
I had been driving all around the Ocala National
Right.
Forest by 14.
I stole
Nope.
my mom's car at 14.
Yeah, but this
Like,
is
come on.
You guys are out in the boondocks. This is Baltimore. This is
Yeah.
a crazy, busy city.
I can't be driving around Baltimore at 14 years old.
Yeah,
In
so that's
Lakeland,
why I think.
Florida, I stole my mom's car.
Yeah.
It's not a small city.
Well,
It's
same
not.
place
Well,
George
I never
Jones-
stole a car and drove it. Like most 14-year-olds,
badass.
I never had driven a car in any real
But see,
capacity.
then, I just can't buy that. The only thing you ever did is put it in reverse, and you're so like confused over the D1, D2, D3. Was there any other incidents
knew it
when
was-
you
I knew-
drove her home? Was there any other incidences on the way home?
I think I did a pretty good job, to be honest with
Uh-huh.
you. Like I remember, it was a pretty straight shot. It was all I had to do was go down Jennifer Road and turn right onto Monium Road. I remember that. That's all I had to do was go straight down one road and make a right down another
This
road.
is how you lie. This is how you lie.
This is how I tell the truth.
Char's chimed in again, and she said that if G Flo would have been having heart flutter, she would have insisted to go to the ER. And Mama Char herself is a well experienced woman in life. so-
Right. Your grandma would have been like, "No, let's go to the hospital
Yeah.
and call for help."
Yeah, if I was the grandmother in that situation and I was having a heart issues, the last thing I would want to do is my fucking 14-year-old grandson that's never driven a car.
It was my
to
idea to
drive
do
you.
that. She
Yeah.
just let me do it. So
Oh, wow. Good, two good stories. I'll give you
Right.
that. Two.
I knew he would be good
I
at
tried.
this.
Yeah.
He's a good
two-
actor.
Wow.
Or
But this
was it you as a 14-year-old? Was this your chance to take advantage of your grandma to be able to drive?
Yeah.
I don't think I had that thought at the time, but I do remember kind of having this bravado kind of moment of like, I will drive the car. I will take us. I will save the day.
Typical. Anyway.
What is D3, by the way? I don't even know what that is.
Well, it's like a different. I think. Do you know?
Yeah,
Austin?
that's when you have three wheels driving instead of like just the front two. You know, there's like two-wheel
Oh.
drive, and then there's three, and then there's four.
I'm a
I
grown
don't
ass
think
woman.
that
I
that's
had no
right.
idea.
I don't think that's
No, that's
right.
definitely not
I
right.
have no clue.
That's like if you need
I'm so
more.
gullible.
But like, I think it's for when you're going up a steep hill,
Right.
right?
Right.
So you
Right,
go
I
into
think
D2
so.
or D3 if you're going up to the if you're going up the hill.
And then D1 is normal.
Yes,
Uh-huh.
D1
Like,
is normal.
when you need more torque.
Because I drive a Hyundai
Alright.
Elantra right now, and it's got D1, D2, D3, and
It does?
I've never touched 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Well, mine has drive in sport mode.
Ooh, just in case you want to play baseball in the
Sport,
middle
like
of driving.
if I want to do like a, just jet on out there because I have a hybrid, so the drive is kind of.
Let's move on to Stephanie's second story.
All right. So when I was about 16 or 17, I was working in a Baskin Robbins, and there was a girl whose check was there for at least over 2 weeks, and she wasn't picking it up. I don't even know if she was still working there. And I took the check. I took my school ID. I changed my name to her name. I went to Kinko's, and I made a copy, and I laminated it myself. And I went into like one of those shady check and cash places, and I cashed her check.
Whoa.
Where was this? Is in L.A.
This is outside LA. Yeah, in the
And how
suburbs.
much money was that check?
It was like 140 or something like that.
Like not enough to raise flags,
old-
but
Right.
enough to be
Enough
like,
to break the
okay,
law.
Yeah.
How old were you?
About 16 or 17.
Man, back in the
Yeah.
day, that's all women went to jail for was bad checks.
Okay,
My
so
grandma actually went to jail for that.
Yeah.
how did you laminate it?
Sorry, Nina.
I either did, I don't remember, but I either asked one of the guys at Kinko's.
You're the worst fucking liar. But maybe,
yeah.
maybe that's just
I'm
the way
the-
she tells us.
I'm the worst storyteller. Like, as a comic, I tell jokes. I don't tell stories. So I'm bad at telling stories.
Stories are hard.
It is. You all are very good at it. It's hard. I get to the I get to the meat of it, I guess. So,
Yeah,
what was
okay.
your question?
So how did you laminate it?
I think I did it myself there, or I had someone that
you
worked.
think?
I don't really remember.
Yeah,
This
I
is
think
over
I would
15
remember.
years ago.
I know, but I would remember every.
There was like a
detail.
machine. There was a machine where I did it myself, I think, and then I cut it. Like I got.
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh huh. Yeah.
I think though.
I think.
I
it was,
think. I
just
don't
put like
know.
And her name was Emily Wu, but it worked.
Emily Wu.
Yeah. So
So
the guy didn't. He didn't.
Emily Wu.
What about the?
So it was an
Well,
Asian
no, the
woman.
signature wouldn't matter because she hadn't signed it yet, right?
Yeah, it wasn't signed. It was just a school ID. It was just my school ID, and I put
Oh,
my.
you used your school ID.
You
And
use
I-
your school ID to cash a check? No.
What was the job?
I worked at Baskin Robbins.
Oh, Baskin Robbins. That's
Uh-huh.
right. Yeah.
God,
serving
how
ice
much?
cream.
And what year was this?
This is probably early 2000, like 2000,
Oh
2001.
my God! How much do you have to work to make $140?
It's a lot of scoops.
Yeah, I know.
31, 3 times. Yep.
Yeah, 20
Wow.
hours maybe. She was working a week.
Yeah.
It was her last paycheck.
And did you ever see her again, or
No.
did anyone ever
I
ask
never got
where
caught.
the check?
Mm-mm.
No one ever said, "Hey, did anybody see Emily Wu's check sitting around here?"
No.
Are you really?
Yeah,
Yeah. What
They
was your
probably just
favorite flavor at
assumed-
Baskin Robbins?
Rocky Road probably.
Bro, Jesus, just
Rocky
fucking
Road.
commit.
Rocky
Just
Road.
commit. Jesus.
I had my husband quiz me
Oh, really?
because I'm such a bad liar.
Yes.
He's like said the same thing. Commit.
I know. Probably like, I don't know.
Commit
Like-
to everything in life,
It's
no
so
matter
true.
what you're doing. Commit.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
Emily Wu, and you did you panic when you gave him the school ID though? You can't cash a check with a
No,
school
you
ID.
can't.
Well, I did
Back
it.
then.
When you-
I did it.
When you worked at Baskin Robbins, because I used to work at Dairy Queen for a little bit, okay?
Nice.
Now,
So we get each other.
yeah. So you there was when you work there, you get to put your own little concoction together, or you get to make your own thing. What was your favorite thing to make as a snack for yourself?
I would smoke some weed in the refrigerator, and then I'd get some, usually Rocky Road, put a little chocolate syrup and blueberries on there. Mix it up.
You know,
I like
what?
a little of everything.
Rocky Road and blueberries?
That's the most definitive she's been.
I know.
But you know what I mean?
Yeah, 'cause
Like,
now-
I'm saying probably or
Now she's
like.
watching it
Yeah.
though.
Yeah. But Emily Wu, I mean, if I was 16, I wouldn't have the balls to do that.
To do another race.
I know. That's crazy.
Mama
That's-
Shar brought that up and said, "Would a white girl really pass as an Asian
Yeah,
lady when
yeah.
cashing a
Well,
check?"
that's racist if they didn't
Well,
take
we
it, right?
either,
They're-
now we have to either believe that she had an ID that was she was blonde haired or what, blue-eyed, curly hair,
Yes. Yes.
or she's Emily Wu.
Yeah, they both involve fake IDs.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
Interesting. Huh?
Yeah.
Makes it a little more tricky.
And
Yeah.
yours both involve a medical emergency. Let's ask Alex some questions about his stories. Okay?
Sure. Yeah, please. I'm an open book.
You didn't give on your first story as many details, although you did give the one about the two guys working on you that didn't like each other. Were they like two white guys?
No, one was white, one was black.
Uh-huh.
Felt
And-
relatively young.
I can't believe you didn't say anything. Like you wouldn't say, like, guys.
Well,
what
his
the
throat
fuck?
was closing up.
I
Can
No,
you
he
talk
wasn't
when your
that
throat
bad. He said he
closing-
probably would have been fine if he went to the hospital.
I think I was in disbelief of the entire situation, just because I already couldn't believe that this a chef had fed me peanuts specifically after I asked if there was peanuts in something, because that's already just like problem number one. And then being wheeled out of a restaurant you've been working at for 2 days, very embarrassing way to get out of washing dishes. And then I just I didn't know what else, I didn't know how to react to, these are adults and I'm still a kid, I'm still a 16-year-old kid.
And how many days or shifts after that did you work, or you didn't?
One more. The
Uh-huh.
next day
Uh-huh.
I worked my shift and I said I'm done.
And did you go back and get your check?
Yes, I did go back. I got back. I'm not gonna let Stephanie come in with a fake ID
An
and
Alex
take
Super
my
ID.
check.
I did miss one little detail.
Okay.
When you were bleeding like a stuck pig, right?
Yes.
Why were you bleeding again?
So the guy, one of them said, you're not, yelled at the guy because he's like, you can't put in that IV, you're not good at this. He's like, yes I am, I'll show you. And then he kind of stuck it, but he stuck it in a way that it wasn't quite ready, or I just remember blood just gushing out of my arm and all over my shirt. I remember I was wearing a yellow shirt. I remember that much because the blood went all over it.
No scars or anything left behind?
No scars or
'Cause
anything.
I got stung by a stingray when I was 9 in Charleston, South Carolina. I'm 24 now. Still have the hole in my foot.
It's very Steve Irwin of you.
Well, that can kill
Yeah,
you.
let's see your
Yeah.
arm. Let's see where that happened.
Go ahead. It's right in there. There's nothing there. I'm not like those holes don't stay. I'm not
No,
like a
they don't.
heroin addict.
I don't know, but if blood came out though, gushing out.
Well, I've
Sure,
had that.
but how many times have you been stuck with? How many times have
Yeah.
you taken blood from you in your life? I mean,
Right.
I've had blood taken from me hundreds of times.
Hundreds?
Hundreds, sure, yeah. I mean, with the amount, I've been in the hospital a few times, and then also I've given blood many
okay,
times.
okay.
So
All right.
yeah, it's not a big deal.
Okay. Wow. Wow, you're a good liar,
Yeah,
dude.
I can't peg
Wow.
you. I can't peg you.
Wow, I feel like
Or am I great at telling the truth? Who knows what's happening here? You know, that's the tricky part of it all.
Do you have any questions, Jessica?
This is hard for me because I can't believe that you hadn't drove that much. Just in reverse.
Again,
You don't have a-
14. This is not normal to be driving cars.
No,
at
there's
14.
Alan Jackson has a whole song about this. It's called Drive, and it's about letting your kids drive when they're young. All right.
I can back this
Yeah,
up.
but that's out in the boondocks. That's like my nieces and nephews
Daddy
when
let
I took
me-
my kids back to Kansas. You know, they
You
got
let 'em
to-
drive? Did
but
you not
that's
ever
in
go
the middle
anywhere?
of nowhere. He's in Baltimore.
No.
Baltimore.
Yeah, but Maryland has outskirts.
Daddy, let me drive.
Yeah, that's
It's a great song.
No,
That's a really good song.
Good stuff, man.
there was no way my parents were ever. I was a bad kid. I wasn't a good kid. So
You were
like
a bad
I was.
kid?
Oh yeah, I was constantly like I was very angry at the world, so I was constantly causing trouble in different ways and trying to bring down everyone to my level. And so there was no way they were ever going to put me behind the wheel of a car. Like even when I turned 16, they were hesitant about letting me actually learn how to drive. And
Right.
I'm
And
not
then-
surprised.
Then I hate the fact that you are allergic to peanuts.
Yeah,
It's just ugh.
I've heard so many comics be like, that's not real, you know, that's this, you know, like, I mean, I know Joey Diaz has a bit about it, about you fucking kids are allergic to peanuts, you're fucking soft and all that. And it's just like, it's true though, I am. What do you want? It's a very common allergy.
David Love has some motivation for you. He said you probably could peg Alex.
I said I couldn't peg you. And,
Really?
And then we laughed at each other.
Yeah, because we don't know if Alex is
Yeah.
into that sort of thing or not.
I mean, I'm not, but I could be, you know, I'm open to trying new things. I'm to opening new holes, you know, I'm open to opening.
Okay, there we go. Should we take a vote?
Yeah, you guys go first. So I don't want to go first.
I have some
Yeah.
votes from the audience. real
Okay,
quick,
yeah,
if you
I would
want.
love that. I would love that.
Let's see here. Leah says that EMT story is a lie and the check cashing story is a lie for you. So your EMT story about getting blood like a sick pig, and yours about the check cashing is a lie. That's her final answer. And Shar says that the that's not a dope combination that you had, when you were like stoned and munching out. So she said if you're high, you pile on more toppings. So she thinks that one's the lie. The check
Right.
cashing story.
The cash.
That was my favorite. I would put like layers of cookie dough ice
Yeah.
cream with peanuts and then chocolate.
Mess it up.
Ooh, yeah.
Just yeah. Totally. I have some notes. You want those?
Yeah, I would love
Okay.
those. Yeah, why don't we run through the stories real quick? Please.
Cool. So for Stephanie, her story one, she was a wild youngin' on the streets of Los Angeles. She sloppily sucked face with Steve-O at peak Jackass fame at the Rainbow Room. And she went back to his house, and Alex was asleep on his couch.
Yeah.
Yep, that was me.
An old man was asleep on the couch. Yeah.
Story two. Now, I did have a question about that. Sorry, I forgot. Initially, you said you were 14 or 15, and then a little bit later on, Felicia's like, and how old were you? And you were like, I think I was 16 or 17.
No, I said 16 or 17.
Oh, you said both, but because I wrote it down.
Oh,
but-
I did?
Yeah, tricky. And so she was somewhere between 14 and 17 and slinging cones at the Baskin-Robbins. She stole Emily Wu's check, laminated it, and cashed it with her school ID, somehow passing as an Asian woman. For Alex, story one, he was a 16-year-old high-end dishwasher. He was allergic to peanut sauce. And
I
the
wouldn't say it was a high-end dishwasher.
Well, it's
Elitist.
Funny way to say it.
I know. I only wash salad forks. What is that? What is that?
Everybody has their standards. So the highfalutin chef tried to poison him with peanut sauce. He called his mom, and she called an ambulance because she didn't know how far along he was, which was a weird phrase. I thought how far along because that's usually like a pregnancy thing. He was chauffeured by two angry paramedics. We found out one white, one black. And he bleeds like a stuck pig because they stuck a thing in his vein, a little
IV.
yeah, couldn't think of the word. Story two. He's chilling with his G-Flo at Friendly's, and G-Flo was a comfortable woman and would have been just as comfortable in a cave eating fried chicken with a black family. And
Sorry to blow up your spot. I know you're dead, G-Flo, but I only love.
Yeah, we love G-Flo. And he's 14. It's 1999. They're cell phoneless. G-Flo's having medical issues, so he drove her home and got grounded because he drove her home.
Yep.
Right.
Instead of to the hospital.
God, Alex, you're rough. I think I got you pegged.
Well,
I
what did
think
Leah
the
say?
same-
What did Leah vote again? What was Leah's vote again?
Leah's vote was EMT story is a lie for Alex, so the stuck pig story is a lie, and that the check cashing Emily Wu story is a lie for Stephanie.
The EMT story is a lie.
And I think Brett's voted as well. He said that everyone made out with Steve-O, so that story is probably true. And
It's just I because I have teenage boys, and I just can't imagine that on one story you're so helpless, and then the other story you're like, I'll save the day, Grandma.
Right.
Yeah, I'm gonna say the grandma story is a lie.
I think the grandma story is true, actually.
You do?
Yeah, because of his personality, and definitely since you just said that really made me cement it. Because he is outgoing. He speaks up. You know, he's not gonna just lay back and not say anything when they're sticking him and they're arguing. That's not Alex.
Yeah, but he was in the middle of going into anaphylactic shock.
No, he wasn't even that. He said that he probably could have made it without the hospital. That he was just scared. So no. I think drive is true.
You think the driving should? What do you think, Austin?
I don't know. It's kind of hard to say because the whole bleeding like a stuck pig thing is weird for me. But then Mama Shar said it's possible that they could have hit a vein and like that's why.
Yeah.
Sure, and I've
bleeding
spurted
so badly.
blood at the hospital.
Every Saturday growing up, we would just go down to the
I would
hospital.
just
and spurt
visit the
blood.
hospital on a Saturday and just be squirt everywhere.
So I'd probably think that the G-Flo story is a lie because I can't imagine that G-Flo wants to go home if she's having heart.
Yeah, if I
that's
was
what I
having heart palpitations, I would not let a teenage boy drive me. That's
She might
never
have been-
driven out of the driveway.
She might have been confused and scared.
confused and scared. I'd be like, go get help from the restaurant. That's what I would say. Because in the restaurant could be a doctor. Yeah,
How
I'm
old?
sticking
Yeah,
with
I
I'm
know.
sticking with my story.
Okay.
I think the grandma Flo story and driving her when she was having heart
What'd you think,
palpitations
Jessica?
is a
I think
lie.
drive is true.
The
the
G-Flo
grandma
story.
driving is
Yeah.
true. What do you think, Stephanie?
That the grandma one is not true.
yeah. All
Yeah.
right. Brett, do you want to chime in at all? Brett?
He did. He said, let me see here. He said the grandma story is true for Alex.
All right.
See?
All right.
Split the board here.
All
Yeah.
right. So
All
what
right.
is the truth?
The EMT story's true.
Son of a, you really didn't speak up.
Wow.
No.
Wow. You know what? I thought maybe the grandma story was true because he gave too much detail. He gave a lot
I thought there was
more
way more detail in the peanut story.
No, I thought the grandma story had a lot more detail.
What?
Yeah, because he was talking about, my dad would let me drive down the driveway, but all of a sudden you drive down, the only car experience you have is putting it in reverse and going down the little driveway, and then suddenly you get your grandmother to the safe place, and there's no accidents. No.
All right. Well,
I
you
have
win.
PTSD
You
from
win.
teaching 3 teenagers how to drive.
I'm sure.
That's all I'm
Yeah.
saying. Okay. All right,
You
let's
win.
move on to Stephanie's story.
All right.
And her 2 stories. The first one was about making out with Steve-O while an old man was asleep on the couch at the height of his fame.
The height of the old man's fame.
And then the second one was you worked at Baskin Robbins and you stole Emily Wu's check.
I know.
And you took your school ID and you jerry rigged it to be Emily Wu's school ID. I just can't believe that that's true, or that anyone didn't say. Did anyone see Emily Wu's check laying around? I can't.
Well,
That's
if Emily Wu never came back, I mean, you waited a while, right?
I mean, it was there for about 2 weeks.
Yeah.
yeah,
So
but
she's like, Emily Wu probably doesn't even know.
$140 missing. That's whoever
Yeah, but
owned
what
the
if-
ice cream shop. That's like a big day of ice cream. That's like
Baskin Robbins, they're a big company.
$140. No, but they're franchises, aren't they? Franchises?
Well, that one's not there anymore.
But
It's
I'm
probably my
assuming it
fault.
was
Yeah,
there.
exactly. They needed that $140 to pay rent.
Yeah. I'm gonna say God, that's so difficult though.
I'm going to say that the Emily Wu is true.
The Emily Wu
I
that
think
she stole.
because she
Emily
does look
Wu's
more
check.
like an Emily Wu to me than a blue-eyed, curly-haired girl.
Yes.
And I have a problem with you're like, oh, my friend was on her phone. in 2000.
So she believes that people would buy you more as Emily Wu instead and not buy that you could ever make out with Steve-O.
No, that's not
what
the
you're
case.
saying.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I think if she would have left it at that, then I would be like, oh, okay, maybe this is true. But no, it's the phone thing that it's worrying me, because she said her friend was over on her phone, just playing on her phone, and this was like early 2000. So that doesn't work out to me.
This is 2004.
2004.
Oh, now you changed it.
No,
She said
I always did.
At peak Jackass
Yeah,
performance.
and it was a flip phone?
I said early 2000s for the ice cream story.
Yeah, she said 0405 on the Steve-O story.
So what kind of phone? You said it was a flip phone.
Flip phone.
So how are you entertaining yourself on a flip phone? Very tedious texts?
She just entertained herself. I
Snake,
guess,
man. You never played Snake on your Razor back in the day?
I never had a razor.
What?
I'm gonna stick with it though. I just believe her more of as a Emily Wu.
Okay, you believe her more as Emily Wu that she can't pull down Steve-O. Okay, whatever.
What do you think?
And did you already give your answer?
No, I just, where I'm getting troubled is like, because I really thought the Steve-O story was true. And I'm wondering though, if the are you really admitting to the crime and saying the name of a person?
Well, the
who you
statute of
stole
limitations
from?
is over.
Yeah, I guess so.
You face no repercussion at all for that at the time?
No,
Nobody found out.
And how long did you work at Baskin Robbins after that?
a year.
Well, think about it. It's almost the perfect crime. Okay, you took the check, and now if Emily Wu did come back in and say, hey, do I have a check here? And they
I
said,
got a question.
no, there's no check. Then she would be like, oh, okay.
So what did you spend the $140 on?
I think I saved it. I'm a big saver.
Oh,
You got
bullshit
no
story.
solid answers for me.
I think.
Responsible enough to save money, but not responsible
At
enough to not
16,
steal.
$140, you're not putting that in a savings account.
But I do notice when she tells her stories, the first stories, there was never the words probably, I think so, like, even though she stumbled around in the story, but you stumbled around in both of your stories and got kind of nervous in both of your stories. But on the second story, you were saying things like, probably, I think so.
Yeah.
I'm going to say your second story is, I don't believe the Emily Wu. Because I can't imagine anyone would cash a check from you with a student ID and it says Emily Wu.
I want to say the second story is false too. Just I wouldn't use the name if I was telling that story. Like I wouldn't have used the person's
But you're
name,
saying the second story is true.
Yeah.
And Austin?
I think the first story is true. Initially, I really thought that was a lie because you're a little shaky telling it
Yeah.
and stuff. But yeah, there's a whole bunch of holes in the Emily Wu story. So.
And what did Brett say? Did he say anything on that?
Brett, the phone just died, but I think Brett said that the Emily Wu story's a lie, right?
Yeah.
Brett? Yeah, maybe. Okay.
Yeah,
we'll
he's
go with
playing
that.
Snake on his razor phone. Okay. All right, so what is the lie?
The lie is the Steve-O story.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
King of 1 and 1.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow,
got it.
you both are kind of good liars.
I spent my whole life doing it.
I thought you were a bad liar, but maybe you were
So I guess
really
that
trying
happened.
to
She
play
was
the
playing
game.
it up because we called her out on the first
Yeah,
one.
maybe.
She was playing it up even more with the likes and the ums and the all that.
So
And
that
I
must
watch
have
a lot of Dateline, and I know you're not. If you're lying, you're supposed to look away
Yeah.
because when you commit, right, you're supposed to. If you're looking at each other, that means you're trying to lie,
See,
right?
but what I pointed
Watch
out,
a lot of Dateline.
what I pointed out, she's more believable as Emily Wu than a curly-haired, blue-eyed girl.
Huh. All right, we bow to you, Jessica. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Wow, you guys were awesome. Thank you so much for joining
This
us.
was
Wait,
so
for
fun.
having us.
Did that happen to somebody you know, the Steve-O thing?
Yeah.
Or anything?
Yeah, my friend made out with them.
Okay.
Were you the
Yeah.
girl in the bedroom with the flip phone?
Yeah.
She's the old man on the couch.
Oh, no.
Then we did get his number, and then we got Christian Slater's number off Steve-O's phone, and we would call him.
Are you serious? So she took his phone?
she got some numbers off his phone.
Wow.
And we would just
How did
prank
she
call.
get numbers off of his phone?
Do you still have
She
those
just
numbers? We got in a few
I don't know.
minutes.
He was probably just distracted, and she got his number, and got and his contact information. You know what I mean?
She sounds like a professional.
Yeah.
She's done this
You're
before.
hanging out
No
with a
longer friends with
professional.
Okay.
And she was Cardi B. She was also drugging men and stealing their money. So.
Wow. Great stories. Where can people reach out to you, find out more about you? I know you have your podcast called I'm a Rescue. You're the co-host on that.
Yeah, they can check out that podcast. We have guests on, tell their rescue story and their journey, something they've overcome, comedians, actors, and you can follow me on Instagram at Funny Girl Events.
Okay, great. And you always have great shows, and thank you for booking me on your shows, and thank you for doing my show.
Thank you so much.
And Jessica's show. Thank you so much. And what about you, fine gentlemen?
Very easy. HooperComedy.com. You can find everything there. Clips, my podcast, my album is free if you have Spotify or Apple Music. Everything's on there. So just go to HooperComedy.com.
Also record your podcast here. What's the name of your podcast?
Achilles Heel. I talk to people about whatever the darkest force in their life is and how it has shaped them to be the person that they are, how they battle it, and things like that. We basically just laugh at everyone's pain.
And I didn't mean to interrupt your Twitter handle. Will you say that once again?
Oh, no, yeah. It's at Hooper Hair Puff. So Hooper Hair Puff.
Okay.
And you can find me all over that stuff.
Okay, great. And Austin, you want to give yourself a shout out?
Yep, I'm the Austin Walker on everything. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel because we're going to start pimping that thing. We just put up a new cartoon last week.
Yes,
so
yes.
Give it a thumb and share it or something.
Okay, great. And I'm Felicia Michaels. You can follow me all across the board at Felicia Michaels. We would like to remind you that on most Mondays at 4:30, we try to go live. Sometimes it's 4:35, sometimes it's 4:40. And on Fridays, most Fridays, unless we're on the road, at 7:30 or 8:30. I'm sorry, 8:30. And again, you can follow me all across the board at Felicia Michaels.
Thank you, Felicia. You can follow.
Okay, I'm sorry. Trying to be professional.
You can follow me at Jess Wellington 2 across the board. And please just follow us on YouTube. I have to get my doggy, and you've been lied to.